6,000 years ago, the Sumerians drew a map of our solar system that included every planet we know today, plus one. This is the record of the planet of crossing. Known as Nibiru, this massive body doesn't follow a circular path. It moves in a vast elliptical orbit, stretching far into deep space before crossing back into our inner system every 3,600 years. According to the Enuma Elish, Nibiru's atmosphere began to bleed away into the void. For its inhabitants, this was a planetary emergency. Their scientists discovered that suspended gold particles could create a thermal shield to save their world. But Nibiru had no gold. Earth did. The gods didn't come here for worship. They came here for resources. We are the side effect of a deep space mining operation. The planet is distant. The orbit is mathematical.
450,000 years ago, the first spacecraft touched down in the waters of the Persian Gulf. This is the record of the arrival. Led by a commander named Enki, a group of 50 specialized astronauts established the first settlement on Earth. They called it Eridu, literally, the home in the faraway. This wasn't a city of houses, it was a logistics hub. Their mission was simple: extract the gold from the ocean floor to save the atmosphere of their home planet, Nibiru. But the yield was too low. The project was failing. They had to move inland to the mountains of Africa, the Abzu. Eridu was just the beginning of a 400,000-year occupation. The ruins are buried. The mission log is carved in stone.
As the Eridu station failed to produce enough gold, the Anunnaki moved their operations to the Abzu, the deep interior of Africa. This is the record of the Abzu mines. Scattered across South Africa are hundreds of thousands of circular stone structures. Modern aerial surveys show they aren't dwellings. They are resonant energy converters. For curated cryptics, these stones are made of hornfels and magnetite, which amplify sound frequencies into the ground. This was acoustic mining. By vibrating the earth at specific intervals, they could liquefy the soil and pull gold particles to the surface with zero manual labor. But as the mines went deeper, the lower-tier astronauts, the Igigi, reached their breaking point. For 150,000 years, they toiled in the heat of the Abzu, until the mutiny began. Mines are still there. The stones are still humming. And
for 150,000 years, the Igigi were the hands of the Anunnaki. This is the record of the mutiny. While the high-ranking Anunnaki stayed in the sky, the Igigi stayed in the Abzu, digging the gold that sustained their world. In the Anunnaki Tablets it's recorded, the toil was great, the heavy work was much. One night the Igigi had enough. They burned their tools. They set fire to the mining equipment. For curated cryptics, this was a total system failure. They surrounded the palace of Enlil, the supreme commander, demanding an end to the labor. The council was trapped. They couldn't mine the gold themselves, but Nibiru was dying without it. It was then that Enki, the chief scientist, proposed a radical solution. Don't force the Igigi to work. Create a new worker, one that is smart enough to use tools, but docile enough to follow orders. The Igigi stepped down. The lab was opened. And that's
in the house of Shimti, the first laboratory, the gods sought a solution to their toil. Their clay was not earth, but flesh and bone. A primitive worker, waiting to be refined. Enki, the great engineer, had a plan to breathe the image of the gods into the beast of the field. A splice, a fusion, Anunnaki divinity woven into mortal clay. The first Adamu was born, with the spirit of a servant, with the image of the gods, a new version of humanity. And so, the blueprint was set. The legacy of Eridu would echo through eternity.
In the Sumerian records, the first human wasn't a miracle of dust. It was a stable prototype. This is the record of the Adamu update. After the Enki scalpel spliced the code, the scientists needed a place to monitor the results. They built the Eden, an enclosed, climate-controlled habitat in Mesopotamia. Here, the Adamu was taught to tend the orchard. For curated cryptics, the Tree of Knowledge was an information terminal. When the Adamu ate the fruit, it was a data breach. Enki, the scientist, gave the Adamu the ability to reproduce, a feature the commander, Enlil, had explicitly locked. Suddenly, the worker unit could create its own copies. The Anunnaki realized they had lost control. The expulsion was a system purge. The gates were locked. The project went global, and that's what
History tells us that humans slowly discovered how to build cities. The Sumerian Tablets tell a different story. This is the record of the civilizing gift. Around 6,000 years ago, the gods gave humanity the ME, 100 divine decrees for civilization. But in the myths, these ME were physical objects carried in a bag. For curated cryptics, these were external hard drives. One contained the code for kingship, another for law, another for music and metalworking. This explains why Sumerian culture didn't have a trial and error phase. They didn't learn to farm, they were given the agriculture OS. They didn't develop math, they were handed a 60-base system that perfectly tracks the stars. We are the only species that uses technology we didn't evolve to create. The disks were lost. The programs are still running.
In the Ashmolean Museum sits a clay prism that defies every law of biology. This is the record of the Kingship Protocol. It lists the rulers of Sumer before the Great Flood, and their reigns lasted tens of thousands of years. Mainstream scholars call it mythology. But for curated cryptics, this is a service log. The first kings were demigods, direct hybrids with a high percentage of Anunnaki DNA. Their cells didn't have the 120-year kill switch. But as they interbred with the worker units, the divine essence was diluted. The kingship was a biological software being phased out. They are the descendants of the short-lived batch. The list is carved. The lifespans have shrunk.
While the scientist Enki loved his creation, his brother Enlil saw only a system error. This is the record of the Enlil command. As the commander of the Earth mission, Enlil's job was to keep the gold flowing and the Igigi happy. But the humans were breeding too fast. The tablets record that the noise of mankind became unbearable to him. For curated cryptics, this noise was system instability. Enlil first tried to thin the herd with a plague, then a drought, then a famine. Each time, the scientist Enki hacked the system to save us. Finally, Enlil saw his chance. Orbital data showed a massive celestial event. The return of Nibiru would trigger a global tidal wave. Enlil forced the High Council to swear an oath of silence. He didn't need to kill us. He just had to let us drown. The commander gave the order. The clouds gathered.
As Nibiru swung past Earth, its gravity began to pull the Antarctic ice sheet into the ocean. This is the record of the deluge warning. The commander Enlil saw his chance to delete the human experiment forever. He forced the Anunnaki to swear no one would warn mankind of the coming wave. But the scientist Enki could not let his greatest work be erased. He went to the hut of his loyal servant Ziusudra and spoke to the wall. For curated cryptics, this was the loophole protocol. By speaking to the structure, Enki technically didn't tell a human. He gave the instructions to build a boat, whose roof shall be like the depths. a submarine. He told Zeusudra to bring the seed of all living creatures, not two of every animal, but their genetic blueprints. The oath was broken. The backup was saved.
After the flood, the world was a blank slate, and the Anunnaki fought to draw the lines. This is the record of the Pyramid Wars. While humans were rebuilding, the gods were engaging in high-altitude combat for control of the Mission Control Center in Sinai. The records describe weapons of brilliance that turned day into night. We find the evidence in the vitrified glass of the desert and the radioactive skeletons of Mohenjo-Daro. It wasn't a war of stones and arrows. It was a war of particle beams and atomic yields. The kings fought, the cities burned. And
By 550 BC, the gods, who ruled Earth for 400,000 years, simply vanished. This is the record of the departure. One by one, the temples were emptied. The divine chariots ascended. For curated cryptics, this wasn't a spiritual event. It was a mission withdrawal. Nibiru was reaching its farthest point from Earth, and the window for return was closing. The Anunnaki left us with a silent sky and a promise. They would return when the crossing happened again. They left behind a steward class, the royal bloodlines to maintain the system. But without the masters, humanity began to drift. We turned their technology into myths and their history into religion. We are the children of an abandoned colony, living in the ruins of a galactic mining operation. The ships are gone. The clock is ticking. And that's why, even today,